Alright, Diablo 4 players, are you ready for one of the best builds? That was the brand new Ashroth Mega Boss. He's already gone. We just absolutely deleted him with this brand new Spiritborn Thorns Poison build. So it takes a second to ramp up, but once it's ramped up, you will just delete all forms of content. This is the brand new Balazan's Thorns Poison Spiritborn build for Season 9. So for starters, let's go over one of the most important things is the new update on these brand new unique pants and where to acquire them, as this is going to be one of the key things that you need for the build to kind of come up online and feel really powerful. Till then, play whatever you want. Honestly, Quill is still one of the most fan-favorited builds for the Spiritborn because it's just very fast overall. But what you are trying to look for are these pair of pants that will drop in the endgame from Varshan and Urivar and the Tormented difficulties, and the most important thing to get is specifically on the unique power, where it rolls any from 100 to 150%. The 150 is the only thing that matters. The rest of the stats, if you get more GAs, cool, but it's not really that important. This is the one item that is absolutely key for the build to absolutely start dominating. So now that we know we need these pants for these build to actually function, let's go over the rest of the build and kind of how it plays. And the reason why this is going to be one of the coolest builds actually in the game is you can play whatever skill that you want. Whatever way that you're dealing damage, as long as you're actually able to attack close. That is key here, because if you're far away, obviously it doesn't count as close. However, when you do play the Ravager with one of the nodes that we get, it's going to teleport you towards the enemy, so you don't even have to worry about like getting within close range. So pretty much you play the Hunter to utilize a mobility skills as well as getting a bunch of different buffs. But the main source of our damage for this variant, which is the most popular one, is going to be Quill Volley. It's just the way that the skill interacts just behaves very, very good. But you can technically play whatever skill that you want. Quill Volley is going to be the one that most people will enjoy for most DPS, but you can also play the Crushing Hands if you want more survivability, but honestly play whatever you want. The build will function really, really good because you just need to deal damage, and then it's just going to apply your damage as Thorns, and then you get the poison to start activating as well. This is where the build kind of becomes very, very powerful. But you can pick whatever skill that you want for your way of dealing the Thorns. You don't actually have to wait for the enemies to attack you like a normal Thorns build in other video games. And then for the skills here, I like Ravager to teleport, but there's another thing that you can get if you really want to do pushing. It just can activate more times. We'll talk about that in the skill tree here. And then also counterattack. This gives you dodge, which means more DPS. More dodge equals more Thorns in the build, which is weird because it's kind of counterintuitive normally, but how it works is we're dealing the damage instantly versus, again, waiting for the targets to attack us, which then if you dodge, then it wouldn't do the Thorns damage. But yeah, it doesn't really mess up the build, and it's really good because you can activate it, and so you're going to dodge all of those attacks that they actually throw at you, and then it will just apply it to the enemy, which is really OP. And then we have Armor Hide just for more survivability, as well as activating a Gorilla skill for more HP. And then we run Toxic Skin to get even more damage. Now, the one skill slot that I would say is kind of optional is Counterattack. It does give us extra dodge, which is good, which means just more overall, just flat DPS. There are a lot of people that really like Vortex as well, which is going to group up all the enemies. You can either run that in a rune combo or just equip it and manually push it, but I like the gameplay of I push this button and go, and then the rest I can activate whenever. It's not like really key here, and you just get free extra damage with this, but it's up to you. Play what you want to. And then for the Spirit Halls, we're going to do double Jaguar. So most of this damage with this build is going to come with the double dipping, just like it's always been with the Spiritborn, because this thing is crazy. It's never been really nerfed, and it's just constantly just there double dipping all day, every day, in every single build. There's a reason why the Hunter has always been here. It just ramps up the damage because it hits so many dang times. And how it works is every 15th time that we deal damage to the enemy, they're just going to take a crazy amount of instant damage. And when you can group up a bunch of enemies, this is where this becomes very, very potent. But speaking of potency, you'll notice this is a non-mythic build. Now, you can play mythics if you want to. The only mythic that I would actually say is pretty good is Starless Skies, and it's like barely. It's just arguably, yeah, it is kind of like better in slot by just small amounts, though. It's really not that big of a deal. This is the one build, if you guys hate farming mythics, like me, I hate farming the mythics, this is your ultimate build, because there isn't like a mythic that gives you big DPS boost. Like other builds may get like 20x, 30x multiplier because you don't have a good ring here. But because this build is so strong already, you don't need it because you can get other bonuses that actually matter a little bit more than other builds. But you can actually run for the helmet. you're going to run 100% Loyalty's Mantle, but the chest piece is where it's a little bit different. If you want more survivability, you can throw in Tyraels. If you want damage and survivability, you can throw in the Shroud of False Death, but Razor Plate is big DPS. Especially if you get like a quad GA and that chance to deal 200% increased damage, it's really hard to beat, to be honest, with damage. But for the helmet, we are always going to be running the Loyalty's Mantle. What this gives you is 100% more potency on your Spirit Hall, which is the Jaguar, big DPS here, so we want to go ahead and lock that in. You can actually roll garbage rolls on this, and you can still have perfect cooldown reduction. Maximum cooldown reduction in Diablo 4 is 75%, and you can get 2 big, like 30% on your rings. Again, if you start masterworking and you hit it, it's even better for Hunter cooldown reduction, as that is something that they did nerf, but it really doesn't matter because you can roll 20%, which is the worst roll. If you roll a good one, which gives you 60%, then you only need like a garbage roll on the ring, and it's totally fine. Either way, it's so easy to hit that 75 cap with the Loyalty's Mantle with this build. So don't worry too much about cooldown reduction on the build, as you're going to be able to constantly still spam your Hunter, as they have nerfed it, but there's other ways that you can actually get it up faster. We'll talk about that in a moment here. But even on the Paragon, there's one that gives you cooldown reduction too. Like, you're still going to be able to spam the ultimate quite frequently. The next thing that we want to go ahead and actually run is Accelerating Aspect. The reason why we run this is every 15th attack, we get this huge amount of damage. It's like a big burst of damage. So we want to try to ramp that up as quickly as possible. Remember, in Diablo 4, there is 2 attack speed buckets. Make sure that you try to maintain those. You can run like the Elixir of Advantage to give you even more attack speed, but the 200% is pretty much the cap, and you can easily reach that with this build with one of the new jewels here. But yeah, accelerating is going to give you extra attack speed when you crit. So in this build, one thing that's really important is you do not get critical strike damage. You just get critical strike chance. And the reason why you want critical strike chance is because it bursts the poison, and it's going to actually make the build feel way snappier. So ideally you get about 50-ish% crit in the build, which is super easy to achieve. But if you get like 100, like, the build feels way better because it just bursts instantly and it does way more damage more consistently. But basically, what you're looking for on all the offensive things is that Mystic Circle potency. You can also masterwork that as well. You get critical strike chance, get that masterwork, or GA. That's a great thing to get as well. As well as just getting attack speed on all of your stats. That's another great thing to get. But it kind of depends on if you already reach the cap, because you can't go over 200% in this game. But pretty much accelerating, get some attack speed on a lot of pieces of gear until you max out. Again, you can remove, let's say, life or dex, but usually you do want to crit on your gloves. And then you want to put on the offensive stat everywhere, Mystic Circle potency, and then also barrier generation on the utility. So that's going to be in your gloves as well as in your boots for that barrier generation. And then for the pants, obviously the brand new pants again. I know it says 200 to 300%. A lot of websites, including this one for the planner, has not updated it, but 150 is the perfect roll. That's the only thing that matters. The rest, if you get GA Thorns, Bash, it doesn't matter. It just worry about getting that 150% to be perfect. Then we run Duelist for more stacks of ferocity because it's better. And ideally, because we have a lot of uniques here, you want to get a GA on armor, and ideally you try to get double GA and you also hit dodge. More dodge equals more thorns, but don't worry too much about getting the dodge. The more important stat is actually to get 1000 armor first, and then worry about that later. And then just getting barrier generation again is important. Then for our two-hander, we want to run a quarterstaff for that block chance. We also want to run the offensive Mystic Circle potency, as well as that primary Jaguar Spirit Hall potency. So that's the special one for the weapon there. And then if you want to push with the Cax rune, you do want Lucky Hit chance to restore primary resource, because when we drain all of our resource, we then get a big damage buff. But it also can kind of help while just progression. The reason why is if you're attacking super fast, it's going to drain your resources. So you can run the Reactive Ooze. That is one of the brand new powers here. And then also getting the Lucky Hit chance to restore primary resource really just makes it so there's no resource problems. As if you just pay attention to a resource, we never have problems, because it's an annoyance when you don't have resources in any action RPG. Then we want to go ahead and run Conceited. This is just more damage while we have Barrier. And you can see we have maxed out Barrier here just with one of the powers. We can also play one of the rune words, which gives you the Druid Bulwark. That also is a great thing. But getting critical strike chance, you can also get ranks to, I believe it's like Apex. There's another bonus on the amulet that can actually help out, which you can get extra damage as well there. You can also get Hunter cooldown reduction. You can also get dodge. This all gives you more damage as well as more survivability. Excellent stuff to get in the amulet. Again, a lot of the getting the passives here is objectively kind of better, but realistically, getting like multiple of those just makes it really difficult because they have a very low weight. Just for like reference here, I just put like getting crit strike chance to be there is ideal, and also getting like GA dex is a pretty good GA, also masterworking, that could be good. But I want to say that earlier on in the game, what I really recommend to do is get critical strike chance up really high. It makes it feel way better, but later, because I have like the mythic variant, I'll include both builds. Getting things like Apex kind of matter a little bit more in terms of pushing, but in the earlier stages, honestly, that critical strike chance makes the build feel way, way better. The reason why is I wanted to include both variants here, and the mythic version is going to be more min-maxed, so keep that in mind as well. But for the most part, the only difference is really Ring of Starless Skies here. And then for one of the aspects, we are playing on the ring, the Behemoth's Brawlers. So when we activate our ultimate, it's going to give us extra damage, plus it gives us ranks, so that'll help out with cooldown reduction. But getting attack speed, crit, getting all res is kind of nice on a ring. Getting Hunter cooldown reduction, and again, Mystic Circle potency in both of the rings is all what you're trying to shoot for here. And then for the other ring, we want to run rebounding. So this is going to make it so the quill volleys, they explode, but basically we just want them to return, basically, so it hits more times. That's why we want to play it. We do not play the thing where it activates 2 times over here, because the value of the potency is more valuable. Plus, there's kind of a lot of bugs with the things like activating 2 times. Some of the stuff doesn't activate properly, and I guess that it just also doesn't really work with the pants, which is unfortunate. If that does get changed, then that would probably be a better choice, but for now, this is what we're looking at. Now, if you do play the Mythic variant, you want to run Rebounding because you want them to come back, and then you do not play the Behemoth's Brawlers in here. You can actually play it in your Amulet or play Conceited, doesn't matter. The numbers are essentially the same with Conceited and Behemoths, but with Behemoths, you also get 2 additional ultimate rings, so I'd probably recommend running Behemoths over there. There's also a bunch of other suggestions. Vortex can be casted manually, or you can use the Cry rune. That's another option here. Ohm is also another great rune, but I really wanted you guys to get that maximum amount of crit, because again, it makes the build feel way better, because remember, when you crit with the key passive, it's how you get a big bonus. So I like running Seer and Gar. Gar just gives you basically 25 crit uptime. And then we run Igni and Zek to get that cooldown of our ultimate up really fast earlier on. That way it doesn't really matter what we have for like the temper rings in the earlier stages of the game. It just lets you spam your ultimate. Later you can definitely swap again. Cax is one of the better runes. You can run Ahu plus Cax. Those are a really good combo, and that's going to drain all your resources, but that'll be kind of later for the build. Once you get your crit up to, I'd say about 50% is where the build starts to feel really good. But if you can get that 100% crit, which is usually going to be getting a Starless Skies and then also getting the Masterwork on that crit, because you can get crazy amounts of crit. You can get like 40 plus just with the ring here, and then it makes the rest of the gearing process much easier. But again, it makes the build feel way better with, again, the key passive. For the Horadric spell, honestly, play whatever you want. There's not really a very important one, but you want to put it, this is where it'd be different than a lot of builds. For other classes, you normally put it on like your main skill that you spam, but you want to put it on the Hunter because one of the brand new jewels needs to be on the ultimate for it to be really good. So you can play whatever you want. Glacial is going to slow down the enemy, so it applies a crowd control. You get bonuses versus crowd control, and this is a free crowd control here. So Glacial, so for cold is good. You can also play the Shadow one for damage reduction. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. You can play the poison one just to fit the theme of the poison, but all your damage is from like pretty much your Jaguar anyways. And then we have the Fractured Core here, so this is going to deactivate the monster resistances. And then we also play Reactive Ooze here, so we actually play 2 Denial for a bonus. We also play Bottled Wind for the barrier generation, so we do not have to play the Rune Word that would normally give us the bonus with the Bulwark. And then as far as the gems go, we go with the Seal of Denial over here. So it requires 2 School of Denials, which again are going to be the Fractured Core and Bottled Wind. And that's going to give us an X30 more Barrier, Fortify, and Thorns. And then we also play Idol from Below, so it gives us extra primary stat, and then the Myriad Stone over here, which is going to make it so when we use our Cataclysm skill, which is going to be on the Hunter here, and remember I mentioned that's why we play it, is for the extra 30% attack speed bonus, because again, you want to ramp up and get this as often as possible with this build. So now we'll move into the skill tree. I'll make this a little bit bigger for you guys. So the first 2 skill points does not matter. Then we go into Quill. Then we play this one over here for more feathers. We just need to put it another point, and honestly, get whatever you want. This doesn't really matter. And then we go into here, getting more damage reduction. This one over here to get increased damage. So Ravager, if you want to push, you can take replenishing. If you just want to go ahead and kind of just play the game, this is the one that I would recommend. This one just lets you dash towards the target, makes this build feel amazing. Until you get to, like, you know, high tier, like 90 or hundreds in the pits, then you can swap to this if you really want to go push. We have some small amount of recovery here. I love 1 point into this. It makes the build feel so much better. And then we have some damage reduction. We max out armor Hydra so we can get extra DR. And then counter attack. This thing is really OP because when you dodge a controlled and pairing attack with a counter attack, it reflects that to all close enemies. So what this means is, normally I don't really like push this button, but if there's an elite, I could just be immune to all of the crowd control because it's going to be activated, and you dodge all attacks for 3 seconds, which is really crazy because it just makes it so all the CC just gets applied to the enemy instead, and it's a really nice quality of life thing, which is great. But you can actually put more points into this as well. We'll talk about it in like later stages, but for the most part, it's really good just to have it on the first one because you get a dodge chance, but when you put enough points into it, it gives you like another bonus of, I believe, 5%. And then we take this over here for extra damage with poison. And then over here with Resilient, because we activate the Armor Hide over here, it's just going to give us extra HP. And then we have Potent over here. This is the thing that you want to go ahead and actually get. If you can get it on the Amulet, this is a really good one, because it's going to make them take even more damage. It's basically the highest multiplier in the game. And even though it just says hitting enemies with Jaguar skills, even though we do like poison, it's not like our Jaguar skills. It's just all the damage they take from us. The next up, we get all like the ultimate stuff over here, and we get some extra bonuses. We put a lot of points into the Hunter for extra cooldown, and then we get the extra damage to injured. A lot of these have been nerfed, but keep in mind, it's just something that has not been updated on some websites. And then the whole reason why we want crit, now that we can mention it, is Noxious Resonance. So when we crit, it causes our poison on the enemy to burst. That will deal a percent of that poison damage that it's over 100%. So it goes over, and 20% to the surrounding enemies. And if this actually hits a bunch of enemies, well, you can see where it starts to ramp up. That's why a lot of people do like Vortex. Again, in this gameplay, I'm running it basically on autocast, you can see. And I'm also running like the Cax rune. But remember, in the earlier stages, again, Gar is totally fine, because in the earlier stages of any build, you just don't have the crit to support it. But next up over here, we have the Paragon Board. So we're going to be starting off on Hubris. So this is where we get a massive amount of Thorns. So we gain Thorns based on our dodge bonus. So we try to get as much as we possibly can over here as far as Thorns go. And then we can move into Revenge over here. So when we deal Thorns damage, it's going to make them take even more damage. And then we also get over here, which is Revenge. So when you use a cooldown, you gain more Thorns, which is not a challenge at all. Then we get Sapping with Ritual. So this is all about the circles over here. So while standing in a Mystic Circle, we just get some more damage, and we want all the Mystic Circle potency. That's why I put it in here. It's got 69 int. And then with the Legendary node, as long as we cast the same skill again and again, which in our case is going to be Quill Volley, we're just going to get extra damage. Then we move into Convergence with Wildfire, which is kind of weird here, but I'll explain in a second. So you get to deal bonus damage equal to all of your bonuses to all of the other elements combined with this one. And we also get a lot of non-phys over here in this build. So we get non-physical. And then what Wildfire does is this will actually give us the fire damage to activate. There's been a bug for a very long time where non-phys did not proc this, so then the fire should be able to activate. But the main reason why we actually run this is that lucky hit chance of damaging enemies with direct fire damage, which is part of Jaguar, has a chance to reduce your active cooldown. So this is kind of how we have a lot of cooldown in the build here. And then we also have the Vicious Shield over here, so we get more damage based on our barrier. Again, the powers will give us the bonus on the barrier, and that's why we get the barrier generation. There's also, I think, somewhere around here, there's like barrier generation. And then we run Canning, which is non-physical damage. It's weird because Thorns is physical, and then it gets converted to poison in terms of the damage. So we do most of our damage via poison in this build. But yeah, that is going to be the build guide for the Poison Spiritborn build. Also, wanted to give you guys a quick little update. I updated all of the mercenaries for Season 9, so if you guys want to also have the mercenary build, I linked them all down below, as well as I've updated this for basically most players. They're not really like that big of a difference. It's always pretty much Subo for like kind of progression, or Variana for movement speed, and then for pushing, some people prefer Rahir because of the bonus to armor, so you can get even more offensive stats. But just want to give you guys a quick update that we've updated all of the mercenaries for Season 9. There's a bunch of notes, so if you guys wondering, can I run this? Can I run this? Like, for example, Penitent Greaves, before you get a good rolled duelist aspect, because they can roll with a huge amount of crit, and because you're going to be teleporting towards the enemies, these are actually really good. There's also a Seal Gem that can give you up to 15% crit, but it requires 2 Arcana powers. But again, if you want the build to feel good early on, I'm telling you guys, the crit is absolutely key to lock in, because the build does so much damage up until you're in like pit like 70 plus, that while you're doing the progression, getting crit is absolutely key to making the build feel way snappier, because again, that's what makes things burst, and then you get the crazy amounts of damage, especially when you vortex them. Again, Cry Rune is great if you want to manually cast it, or you could just make it automatic. If you feel like your cooldowns are fine, then don't run Zek. But because they just recently nerfed the cooldown and the way that the Hunter works, Zek Rune is a little bit better earlier on until you get, again, the Master working, as well as the correct tempers to get that Hunter cooldown reduction, as well as a good Loyalties Mantle, because sometimes you got to use what you get in the very beginning. But that's going to wrap it up. If there's any other suggestions for the build, definitely let me know down below, and I'll be consistently updating this. If there's any other variants, let me know as well, and I will update the build guide with maybe more. But for the most part, there's basically only the Mythic variant, and if you want to play the Crushing Fist, go for it. But Quill Volley, Crushing Fist are the top 2 recommendations. Quill Volley for DPS, Crushing Hands if you want a little bit more survivability. But that's going to wrap it up for the video. If you guys enjoyed it, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit subscribe to the bell, and if there's any updates for this build, I'll let you guys know. But take care, and I'll catch you gamers in the next video. Peace out.